Morning! It's another early start, but we've had a little bit of a lie-in compared to most other days. We don't have our appointment till 10:30 today, which means that we got to stay in bed until about 5:30 this morning. Lucky us. Thank you to the clinic for being accommodating with that though. I'm just packing up all the medications into a cool bag because everything has to be taken chilled, and obviously with the trip I'm not entirely sure what time we'll be getting back. So we're taking one of everything in a cool bag just in case. We'll have to give the first dose of medication when we get there, which means that we'll have to stop about 2 hours before we arrive so that Tamsin can put the magic cream on. But for now, I better get going and just cross-check all the medications that I'm packing. We've just stopped quickly at the Exeter service station. First impressions aren't great, though I've not even got into the building yet. The roundabout leading onto it is absolutely crackers. I've been around it so many times before and I still get lost on it every single time. I'm sure it's been designed by somebody with serious issues or perhaps drugs. And then actually even driving into the service station, there's a road that says cars. That's not the one to take. There's a road that doesn't say anything. That is the one for the cars. So that makes it a little bit confusing and misleading. And the layout inside is almost as confusing as the layout of the car park. We only stayed there quickly just because we need to get going. So I'm rushing back to the car again now. See you in a bit. Well, that's us back again. It feels like a long day already, even though we've got back in time for a late lunch. First of all, going back to Exeter service station, that's definitely one to avoid. As I said, the car park's an absolute labyrinth with signs in the wrong places and just generally it being a little bit of a maze. Difficult to find your way in, but also difficult to find your way out because there don't seem to be any exit signs until you've actually reached the exit, by which point it's a little bit irrelevant. Inside was also a bit of a maze, not a difficult one because you could see over all the walls and the barriers, but trying to find your way through to the toilet past all the little cafe restaurant bits was surprisingly difficult. Inside wasn't particularly great either. It had a little bit of a canteen feel to it, though the toilets were clean, so that's something, and it generally seemed quite hygienic in there. The clinic appointment was a bit of a roller coaster really. The scan was a bit disappointing. It looked like we were doing really well at the last scan, but there's only the one follicle that's really developing. The one was all we really needed and sort of all we were really aiming for, but at the same time when you see sort of 8 or 9 growing and then only end up with one, it still feels like a little bit of a disappointment, especially with all the injections and treatments and driving and everything, which we've put a lot of time into, and which of course isn't particularly pleasant for Tamsin either. So while we were at the clinic we had another blood test. I can't believe I'm using the royal we here. It wasn't my arms that got injected. We've just had a phone call from the clinic to let us know that all things being equal, we're going ahead with the egg retrieval on Wednesday. So that's kind of good news. I'm also planning to pop into work tomorrow to do an extra clinic, which should help to balance the books a little bit and also help to make sure that I've not used all my annual leave on this treatment. So how am I feeling? Sort of nervous, excited, frustrated, disappointed. Bit of everything all at once. I must say I'm comparing the clinics in my head at the moment as well, and sadly the service that we're getting isn't quite as good as the clinic was in Prague. Mind you, Prague was absolutely exceptional. On the other hand, the treatment we had at our first hospital, which was on the NHS and actually didn't really go anywhere because the way they counted no rounds of treatment as a round of treatment. Well, let's just say the treatment now is much better than that. Right, that's me over and out for a little bit. Right, we're just coming up to one of the last injections of the round. If I can show you though, before I do it, just how much packaging there is for a tiny little pen device. A big box, huge load of instructions, a couple of needles, big empty space, and that's the pen device. So all this is, well, recyclable cardboard waste, but just all that for that tiny little pen device, and that's a single use one. So we've actually got to use 2 of them. Good morning, that's me in work to do an extra catch-up shift. I'm in a different room today, which is a little bit off-putting, although I've got a nice view from the window. Overall, I'm just feeling a bit mentally and physically weary, just from having to juggle everything. Juggling really isn't one of my fortes. So I've got my extra clinic this morning, and then I've got to squeeze in an appraisal later this afternoon. I'm going to try and catch up on some of my admin and paperwork at the same time. And I think that's about everything for today. Then tonight, I think I need to try and get another early night ready for the trip to Bristol first thing tomorrow morning. I think that'll be another 4 a.m. start for me. Well, the appraisal went okay, and that's me back home again. I've just made myself some dinner, a sort of a Moroccan mix with rice, which was very nice. I got home and it's obvious that the medications that we injected last night have had a massive effect. Tamsin's gone through a major nesting drive. Everything that I didn't take into work has moved to a different place in the house. I don't know where any of my clothes are. I don't know where my main camera is. It's getting towards twilight now, so I'm going to refill the hedgehog water and refill the bird seeds for tomorrow. And then I guess I'll get an early night. I think it's going to be another 4 or 5 o'clock start in the morning. But for now, that's good night. Well, another painfully early start, but we're here now. I'll talk to you a bit more about everything later, but first of all, yuck. So just a quick recap, we got up at 4:30 this morning to head over to Bristol and had a really uneventful journey. We stopped once and that was about it. We got to the clinic in plenty of time. I had to do a sample, so that was the little room I just showed you. Tamsin's now down in the treatment room having a repeat scan and then hopefully the egg retrieval if everything is all okay. So I've got an hour or so just to sort of sit outside and wait. So I'm just sitting outside the cathedral at the moment. It really is the warmest day we've had for a very long time. I can feel a little bit lost that it's not raining. It's rained for about the last 6 months solid. If anyone's looking at this video in the future, it was 2024 when it was exceptionally rainy, or depending on how climate goes over the next few years, before the Great Flood and the Great Fire and stuff. Right, that's the Tesco shopping done. Before I go back in to collect Tamsin, let me just show you the little haul of treats that I've got. Actually not very much, but I'll show you anyway. So I've got her an apple juice because that's one of her favourites, and some chocolates because who doesn't like chocolates? And rather excitingly in the background there's a couple of people setting up a camera and an old broken down TV, so I might just hang around a few more minutes and see what they're up to because it looks really interesting. And now I better just head back in again and see if Tamsin's ready. Though before I go in, just let me show you the posh city centre location of the clinic, just a couple of doors down from the Marriott Hotel. And we're heading home again. We've just stopped for a little bit of lunch and now we are heading directly back so that Tamsin can get back and have a lie down. This guy's sitting on the next table eyeing up our lunch. Well, that's us back safely, and after 8 hours travelling and such an early start, I'm dead on my feet. I'm too tired to think and I can hardly stand up anymore. Yes, you look knackered. Thanks. Anyway, the next job to do is to cycle down to the pharmacy and get a prescription for some antibiotics. So, off I go again. And I'm on my way back from the pharmacy already. I must say I was really impressed with them. They were really quick, but while I was there, they also had to field all sorts of really kind of ridiculous questions. And I must say they did it really well. So big thumbs up to Bude Pharmacy. Thank you very much. Right, now to jump back on my bike and cycle the rest of the way home. And I'm back from the pharmacy again. Hopefully I'm not slurring, but I'm really struggling to think straight and talk properly at the moment. So 2 quick medical updates on the situation. Update 1. Woohoo! Great news. We got 3 eggs out, so that's 3 times as good as we expected. Really pleased with that. We were so disappointed when we heard there was only 1 egg that was suitable. So really fantastic news. Overwhelmed, brilliant, thanks, blah de blah. Update 2. Well, we've just found out that they can only do 1 of the 3 eggs. They're doing the ICSI treatment on it. If they'd done the traditional IVF, they could have done all 3, but for whatever reason they can't do that, and they can't go back and do it to the other 2 that they couldn't do the ICSI treatment on. So really disappointed about that. It feels like the absolute opposite extreme to when we were in Prague and we managed to get either 7 or 9 pretty good eggs, and we had a good number of them fertilising. So they've given us about 60% odds of this particular egg being successful, which to me doesn't sound particularly great. I'm possibly just feeling a little bit vulnerable because I'm so tired, but I really could cry right now. But instead I'll go back in and see if Tamsin needs any more painkillers or anything. Crying's probably something to do alone and in secret anyway, especially for a boy, because that's not something we do. So maybe I'll just go and hide alone somewhere first for a little bit of sad time.